There's No Place Like Home fundraiser and celebration with Maine authors that concludes our month-long raffle and silent auction. Tonight, we celebrate our donors who make it possible for the Maine Children's Home to achieve its mission to build and strengthen families and their children through adoption, counseling, teen parent support, family training and support resources, summer camp connections, and assistance during the holidays. We also celebrate the recipients of these supportive programs, which include adopted families who receive a lifetime of guidance from the Maine Children's Home for their children, often coming from difficult and very traumatic backgrounds. Children and families in need of play therapy and counseling who are seeking new tools and resources to be more effective. Families who are facing financial hardship during the winter and holiday season. And teen parents who need community support, parenting classes, and vital supplies for their babies. Over the years, we've seen many recipients come full circle and become advocates, board members, and staff members at the Maine Children's Home. Some members of the Maine Children's Home family share a connection with our organization that spans decades, some even generations. We see those connections as wonderful testaments to the power of our programs that aim to see, hear, and value children and families. In fact, one of the writers who will be featured tonight was the inspiration behind this celebration, which includes Maine authors. 16-year-old Juliese Padgett was adopted through the Maine Children's Home several years ago, and she wrote her children's book about her experience as an adoptee from Guangzhou, China, while she was living here in Maine. All of the proceeds that Juliese makes from her book, The Newest Flower, go to supporting Maine Children's Home. Thank you, Juliese, for coming full circle and becoming a strong advocate and supporter of the Maine Children's Home. As we prepared for this event, we were told by one of the featured authors, Lynn Plourde, that the number one indicator of how well kids will do in school is how much they're read to as preschoolers. We are thrilled to share some very exciting leg-breaking news. We received a donation of 2 tickets today for a Red Sox home game versus the Minnesota Twins on August 24th at 7:10 p.m. This raffle will be on the GalaBid website until June 28th at 8 a.m. We know you all love that GalaBid website. More details will be about that on our webpage shortly. And thank you for helping us to grow support for our program. This evening of reading, of listening, learning, and connecting with others is very much in line with who we are as the Maine Children's Home. We hope that you will enjoy this evening with us. I would just add a note that one of the things that is so vital for us is grant support. And many of our grant funders look closely to see how we do with community donations. So please know that every dollar that you donate tonight, every gift that you make, helps us to multiply the support that we receive from some of our grant funding partners. So please give generously. All of the generous contributions that have been made and all of the proceeds from tonight's event will directly benefit our mission to build and strengthen families and their children, instilling hope for the future and a better quality of life. We have been achieving our mission since 1899 because we can build on the community that has been created through our programs. We wish to extend specific thank yous tonight to these very special people and organizations. Our gold sponsor, Emerson Toyota. Our silver sponsors, Northeast Laboratories and Sappi Paper. Our bronze sponsors, Century 21 Nason Realty, Global Family Restaurants, Golden Pond Wealth Management, an anonymous donor. Our item sponsor, Bangor Savings Bank. Our partner sponsors, Central Maine Motors Auto Group, and another anonymous gift. We'd also like to thank our supporters at Belfast Self-Storage, G&E Roofing, and the Friends of the Maine Children's Home. And a very warm and special thank you to Gary Crocker as our MC for the evening. We'd also like to thank the authors who've generously donated their time and their creativity. Chris Van Dusen, Cynthia Lord, Juliese Padgett, Lynn Plourde, and Earl Smith. We'd also like to thank the collaborators and volunteers for our event committee, Jackie and John Dalton, Leah Fody, Kirsten McQuillan, Dan Santos, the board of the Maine Children's Home, as well as many of the staff from our organization. To get this party started, let me introduce our MC and a great friend to the Maine Children's Home, Gary Crocker. Gary is a Maine native who believes in the power of humor to improve almost any situation. He has offered remarks and observations in the classic Maine tradition to groups, organizations, and businesses from Maine to California and once in Paris, France. Gary is a retired educator and Navy veteran who enjoys helping organizations raise funds to help people in need. Please join Gary as we gather to raise funds to support the programs of the Maine Children's Home for Little Wanderers. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, Rick. Now, you might know I've donned my Sea Dogs baseball cap in recognition of that Red Sox opportunity that's appeared recently. Of course, the Sea Dogs are the feeder system for the Boston Red Sox. So I will put this on from time to time to remind people of that great opportunity. Before we get started, dear, since our theme is there's no place like home, there's an apocryphal story that I understand to be true that took place in Booth Bay Harbor not too long ago. Yeah, there was a fisherman down there, a lobsterman, mending his traps, minding his own business. And it was a beautiful day, a lot like the one we're having today, right here in this great state of Maine. Well, a fellow showed up in a big expensive car, must have been a Mercedes or a Maserati or something, that you don't see in West Gardner that much. Anyway, he pulled it up next to this lobsterman. He kind of thought it was interesting watching that lobsterman working on his traps. Well, he sat there for a few minutes and then he decided to get out and get a little closer to the action. So he jumped out of his car and he wandered down over the lawn to where the lobsterman was working and stood there a minute and then decided to fill the air with words and started asking the lobsterman questions and telling him things. He said, I like what you're doing here. This is quite a place. This is pretty impressive here. But he said, I've traveled a lot. Yeah, I've seen the world. I've been to both poles, North Pole, South Pole. I've been to every continent. I've met the crowned heads of Europe. Yeah, I've even met the president of the United States of America. I've met stars. I've been in every state in the union. I've done it all. I've traveled everywhere in the world, really. I'm just curious, man like you, a lobsterman like you, just curious. You travel at all? Lobsterman kind of stopped for a second, looked up at me, said, no, I didn't have to. I was born here. That's how we feel about the state of Maine. We were born here, or we chose to come here and stay here because we love it. And it feels like home because it is. Just recently got back, my wife and I, from California, visiting our grandsons. And I got to tell you, the difference between Southern California and here is glaring. We just love the state of Maine. And we love what the Maine Children's Home does to help the people of the state of Maine. So, without further ado, as Rick mentioned, this event concludes a month-long silent auction and raffle, which raised to date $26,559 in bids, ticket purchases, and sponsorships, which we deeply appreciate from everybody who contributed. I want to thank everybody who made this happen. This $26,000 plus figure means a lot to getting us started. And the online auction was a success. It was great. Everybody that stepped up, we appreciate it. And we hope you're the highest bidder. Thank you to everybody who was able to participate. And we're going to move on and move the way the program's going to work tonight is that I'll be introducing readings from talented Maine authors: Chris Van Dusen, Cynthia Lord, Juliese Padgett, Lynn Plourde, and Earl Smith. And we'll announce the winners in our raffles in between each reading. Throughout the evening, you can click the link in the video description or visit mainechildren'shome.org/donate to donate and help Maine Children's Home reach its goal of $30,000 for this fundraiser. It's a goal that we simply must reach. And frankly, I'd like to exceed. So let's take a shot at that. We'll need your help to do it. And before we say goodbye this evening, I will also announce the winner of tonight's door prize of $120 car care basket, which includes Morissette Auto Detailing coupon valued at $79 and Chemical Guys car detailing bucket kit, a $42 value, which includes a sturdy bucket with top, grit guard, insert for bucket, Chemical Guys citrus wash and gloss, and wash mitt. Well, to get us started, I want to introduce a brief video that helps to illustrate what your donation looks like at the Maine Children's Home. Hello, I'm back again. The Maine Children's Home mission requires not only seeing and hearing the needs, but also showing up with the right expertise and training to help Maine's most vulnerable, children and adults from traumatic backgrounds, families in financial crisis, and young families in need of community support. More than 3,000 children and families receive help each year through the Maine Children's Home's adoption, counseling, teen parent support, and Christmas assistance program. And each year, the Maine Children's Home staff work hard to make sure the quality of their services are high and reach as many people as possible. Your donation makes all of the Maine Children's Home's specialized programs possible. If you're tuning in tonight, please consider making a contribution today. And now it's time to announce who the first raffle winner is. This kayak and paddle was donated in part by Dick's Sporting Goods and sponsored by the Bangor Savings Bank. And our crack staff will draw the name now.
Let's see. Barbara Ray Meyer.
Congratulations to Bob Raymeyer. And thank you for participating in the raffle. We will be in touch with you about how you can collect your prize. Now, our first author is Chris Van Dusen. Chris was born in Portland, Maine on St. Patrick's Day, 1960. As a child, his heroes were Dr. Seuss and Robert McCluskey. He loved the rhythm of Dr. Seuss's words, and he was fascinated by the meticulous detail of Robert McCluskey's illustrations. In 1982, he studied fine art at the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth and graduated with a BFA. For more than 10 years, he worked as a freelance illustrator specializing in art for kids. He was doing mostly editorial work, and his illustrations appeared in magazines like Nickelodeon, Family Fun, and Disney Adventures. One day, he started thinking about drawing a picture of a boat stuck high up in a tree. He thought that would be really funny. an intriguing illustration. At the same time, a refrain kept running through his head. Mr. McGee and his little dog Dee hopped in the car and drove down to the sea. The combination of these two things eventually became his first book, Down to the Sea with Mr. McGee, which was published in 2000. He's been busy writing and illustrating children's books ever since. Here he is, Chris Van Dusen, reading his book, If I Built a House.
My name is Chris Van Dusen. I'm an author, illustrator of children's picture books. And today I'm going to read you my book called If I Built a House. It came out in 2012. It's the second book in the If I Built series. The first one was If I Built a Car, and there's also If I Built a School. But today we're going to focus on house. Jack in the backyard said to his mother, "This house is okay, but it's like any other. It's boxy and boring and basically bland. It's nothing at all like the house I have planned. My house will be different. It can't be the norm. I'll think about traffic flow, function, and form. Oh, it may include shapes like a tower or dome, but I'll focus on what makes a building a home. It's the rooms on the inside that make it unique. So step to the door and let's have a peek." Oops. We'll start with the basics right off the bat. Check out my all-in-one kitchen-o-mat. You don't have to cook and you don't have to clean. It's done by a space-age robotic machine. It makes all the meals and the food is delish. Then it washes and puts away every last dish. The living room's next. It's fun. Come on in. The chair and the tables and sofa all spin. Then trampolines lead to a giant ball pit. It's a pretty neat room, you have to admit. Now look in the bathroom. No shower, no tub. Instead, take a ride on my Scrub-a-Dub-Dub. Just step on the belt and it washes you clean, even the places that you've never seen. And here is my bedroom way up in the sky on top of a tower 200 feet high with glass all around. Just check out the view. A bed in a tower? Now that's something new. The rooms we walked through just moments before are the kind that you'll find in any decor. But if I built a house, I'd add a few more. So hop on the slide. It's time to explore. You know how I constantly like to create? Well, this is my art room. Isn't it great? You draw on the wall. Don't worry, it's cool. Hung way up high on a big giant spool is a huge roll of paper that hangs to the floor. Just draw till you're done and pull down some more. Next comes my flying room. See how it's tall? It's empty except for a switch on the wall. Just turn off the switch and you'll float off the ground. Then flap like a bird and fly all around. Isn't it nice to be up in the air? A room without gravity. That's pretty rare. This is my racetrack room. Step right inside. It's less like a room and it's more like a ride. It features a racetrack that loops all around with super fast go-karts that don't make a sound. You fly and you flip and you zip and you zoom. You have to admit, it's a wonderful room. A room filled with water? Now that's something new. But if I built a house, that's just what I'd do. This is my fish tank room. Ain't it a sight? Don't worry, they're friendly. The critters won't bite. Just strap on an air mask to swim with the fishes. Now this is a room that every kid wishes. This is my favorite room. Of course, I've been saving the best room for last, and literally speaking, this room is a blast. So welcome, sit down. I'll seal up the hatches. This plexiglass playroom completely detaches. You fly it around. Why, it even has jets. For me, This room is as good as it gets. My house will be nifty. My house will be neat. My house will stand out as the best on the street. Daringly bold, yet exquisitely fine, a must-see example of modern design. My house will be hailed as refreshingly new. If I built a house, that's just what I'd do. So that's my book, If I Built a House. Thanks for listening.
Wonderful illustrations. I agree with Elizabeth. In preparation for this event, we spoke with Chris about what he thinks about sharing stories. And he said, I think the power of reading a book out loud is really a special thing. I encourage people to do it as often and as young as they can when they're starting with their kids. When I'm writing my books, I know that they will be shared by a parent to their child. I make sure that my books read aloud easily and flow just right. That one certainly does. Thank you, Chris Dusen. Now, before we announce the next raffle winner, here is our own story about the Connected Families Project at the Maine Children's Home.
Imagine that you have waited to become a parent for years. You've done all the necessary steps of the adoption process and have been matched with a 4-year-old girl from Korea. You finalized all of the travel plans to bring your child home and decorated a room in your house with her favorite colors, yellow and green. But a few months after your daughter finally arrives, you find that your expectations have been shattered. You don't understand your daughter's behavior or how to calm her tantrums and manage her anxiety. You feel utterly helpless. This is a story that we hear often at Maine Children's Home, and why the Connected Families Project at Maine Children's Home exists, with classes and resources to help caregivers understand the complex needs of children who come from difficult backgrounds. Our social workers are practitioners in trust-based relational intervention, a way of caring for children that is based on seeing the need behind a child's behavior and responding to that need in ways that build trust, attachment, and connection. Being a caregiver or parent can be incredibly hard, but we're here at Maine Children's Home to make sure that caring for a child isn't without hope.
Thank you for watching that video. And remember, the work of the Maine Children's Home is made possible by generous donations from people just like you. Please consider making a donation by clicking the link in the description of this video. And now it's time to announce the next raffle winner. This is the Night in Camden Pack, and it includes 1-night stay at Camden Maine Stay Inn, an elegant bed and breakfast inn for year-round enjoyment. This stay is donated by the Camden Maine Stay Inn and is valued at $300. And there's a $100 Visa gift card donated by the Connected Credit Union in Waterville, Maine. And our crack staff is at it again, drawing names.
So let's see who the winning lucky person is going to be. Good luck, everyone. No, that's not it. That's not it either. Although you will need to bring those items. But let's see. This feels like a ticket. One ticket, one lucky person. Sherry Corriveau.
Congratulations to Sherry Corriveau, and thank you for participating in the raffle. We will be in touch to let you know how you can collect your prize. And now our next author is Cynthia Lord. Cynthia lives in Brunswick, Maine, with her family, a dog, 2 guinea pigs, and 3 rabbits. She is a former elementary and middle school teacher and a Newbery Honor-winning children's book author of Rules, Touch Blue, Half a Chance, A Handful of Stars, and Because of the Rabbit. She is also the author of the Hot Rod Hamster series, illustrated by Derek Anderson, and the Shelter Pet Squad series, illustrated by Erin McGuire, all published by Scholastic. Her first nonfiction book, Borrowing Bunnies, is published by FSG Macmillan in September 2021, and she has a new series coming out with Candlewick Press called Book Buddies, which she will be reading from tonight. Here is Cynthia Lord reading her book, Ivy Lost and Found.
Hey, I'm Cynthia Lord. I'm the author of 16 books for children, and I live in Maine. And today I'm going to read a chapter from a chapter book that hasn't even been published yet. This comes out in September, so you get to have a little sneak peek. The title is Ivy Lost and Found, and the series name is called Book Buddies. Book buddies are toys that live at a library, and they can be borrowed just like books by children. So the first chapter is always how that toy came to be a book buddy. And I'm going to read you the second chapter. So I'll tell you that a little girl named Anne got Ivy the doll for a birthday present one year. And she was her special toy all through her childhood. They did all kinds of things together. But then Anne grew up and she put Ivy in a box, and Ivy got forgotten until one day the box opened again. Anne's eyes were older now, but they lit up with joy. Ivy, she cried, I remember you. Next chapter is called The Library. Ivy peeked out of Anne's tote bag. Everything was very bright after the dark box. There was so much to see. There were books on long shelves, in bins, and on bookcases. Shiny posters were on the walls. There was even a shelf of stuffed animals and toys with a sign that said, Book Buddies. Ivy had never seen so many children. Some played games, some did puzzles at little tables, others sat in beanbags, listening to their parents read. Welcome to the library, Anne called to everyone. Story time will start in 5 minutes. Today I'm reading books about bears. Get ready to growl. Anne carried Ivy to the Book Buddies shelf. A little girl with pigtails and overalls was patting the toy unicorn's tail. Hi, Sophie, Anne said to the girl. I have a surprise. I helped my mom clean out her attic yesterday, and look who I found. She took Ivy from the tote bag. It's my old doll, Ivy. Old doll? Ivy's heart broke. Today she'll join the Book Buddies, Anne said. Children can borrow her and read stories to her just like I did. Ivy didn't want to be borrowed. She wanted to belong to Anne. She wanted to be her favorite toy again. Sophie smiled. She can meet the other Book Buddies. That's a great idea. Anne turned Ivy toward a black bear with a brown nose. Ivy, this is Banjo. Next was a fluffy black and white hen with a little chip. Here are Olive and little Roger. Banjo and Olive looked sweet. Roger had mischief in his eyes. Ivy liked them all. Homer, the owl, had brown feathers, fierce yellow eyes, and white tufted ears. Ivy tried to smile bravely. And here's Dazzle. Sophie pointed to a snow-white unicorn with a sparkly pink tail. Dazzle is a boy, she told Ivy. He likes stories with magic. Piper was a gray and white flying squirrel. Next to him was a tiny mouse wearing a wool vest and an acorn cap hat. That's Marco Polo, Anne said. He likes to explore. And this is Liliana. She is my favorite, Sophie said. Liliana was another doll. She had a gold crown and long sunshine-colored hair. She wore a glittery purple dress with laces up the front. A princess, just like in the fairy tales. They could be friends, Anne said. Liliana will love having another library doll. Ivy thought she heard Liliana give a tiny sniff like that wasn't true. Ivy had always loved her own black braids, little garden boots, homemade pants, and gray sweater. But next to Liliana, she felt plain and not even a little bit glittery. Anne set Ivy gently on the shelf between the hen and the unicorn. Come on, Banjo. Anne picked up the black bear. You're the guest of honor at Storytime today. Our first book is Brown Bear, What Do You See? Anne carried Banjo over her shoulder. He smiled back at the other toys. Ivy wished she could hear the stories too. Maybe if she closed her eyes and listened really hard. Are they gone? A deep voice asked. Because when the toys are left alone, they can talk to each other.
Fantastic. You know, as we prepared for this event, we had an opportunity to speak with Cynthia about why she thinks the Maine Children's Home programs are important. And here's what she said. My own parenting experience is that I have two children. I have a daughter and a son, and my son has autism. And that was a very different parenting experience than anybody around me was having at the time. And the way that we learned how to be parents was that we found professionals who could help us and teach us how to parent him. I think that's so important for every family, no matter what their circumstances are, that families can access services like what the Maine Children's Home provides, and like what we were able to access to help families feel like they're not alone and to help them be the best parents that they can be and that they really want to be. So thank you, Cynthia Lord, for sharing your story and your comments. Before we announce the next raffle winner, here is our own story about the Family Counseling Center at the Maine Children's Home.
Mental health is a key part of living an enjoyable life. It allows us to be fully present for the people we love, the activities we're passionate about, and the major life events we hope to remember forever. But sometimes trauma, anxiety, and depression can get in our way, blocking us from being our true, authentic selves and living the life we want and deserve. At the Family Counseling Center at Maine Children's Home, we know that suicide is the 9th leading cause of death in Maine. We've seen the need for mental health services in our state, and we take that very seriously. We offer trauma-focused treatment, play therapy, and a variety of other modalities to support mental health to hundreds of families, couples, adults, and children. While the reasons why clients seek out mental health services vary greatly, our core message to everyone at the Family Counseling Center stays the same. You are worthy of being seen, heard, and valued.
Hello again. You know, the work of the Maine Children's Home is made possible by generous donations from kind people, just like you. Please consider making a donation by clicking the link in the description of this video. It's important if we're going to make a $30,000 goal, especially. And now it's time to announce who the next raffle winner is. The backyard package includes 2 handmade Adirondack chairs valued at $300, a $100 Sam's gift card donated by Sam's Club, and a fire pit handcrafted and donated by Alpine Consulting and Metalworks valued at $450. And we have just been notified of a challenge donation. An anonymous donor is pledging $1,000. Can we match this? We started the evening at $27,000. Can we blow right past that $30,000 mark? Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing that challenge. And let's try to step up and match it. And the winner is our crack staff is right out there drawing tickets from the most appropriate location.
Sorry, I might have dozed off. These beautiful Adirondack chairs are as comfortable as they are beautiful. So let's see who's going to take them home this weekend. I have all the raffle tickets in here. Let's watch. Here we go. Let's see. We have Doreen Parent. Congratulations, Doreen.
Congratulations, Doreen. That's wonderful. And thank you for participating in the raffle. We will be in touch to let you know how you can collect your prize. Our next author is Earl Smith, well known in the Waterville area. He's a native of Waterville. Earl graduated from the University of Maine in 1962 when he began a 40-year career at Colby, serving in numerous administrative posts, including Dean of Students, Dean of the College, Secretary of the Corporation, and as an assistant to 3 Colby presidents. He retired in 2002 and continues to serve as the college historian. His public service includes elected terms on the Waterville City Council, as well as the Board of Education, and as a member of the Maine House of Representatives. He served as a member and chair of the board of Mid-Maine Medical Center and the Kennebec Valley Community College Foundation, and as a governor of the Colby Art Museum. He currently serves as a commissioner of the Maine State Museum. He has received Colby's Mariner Distinguished Service Award at Colby, the Bernard King Award at Kennebec Valley Community College, and the Human Rights Award from the Elijah Lovejoy Society in St. Louis. Here is Earl with a reading from his most recently released book, Down East Genius. Yeah?
I have to say that the title of tonight's program, There's No Place Like Home, is really the perfect name for the work of the Maine Children's Home, because the challenges we faced in the past year or so have led us to the discovery of the importance of home for all of us. And the Maine Children's Home has a special meaning for me because my brother's 2 children came to us by way of the Maine Children's Home. My new book, Down East Genius, this is a picture of the cover, sort of fits into this theme because the book was published by Island Port Press in May, and it tells the story of some 50 Maine inventors whose creations changed the world we live in. Some of you will be familiar with some of those inventions because they were created not far from here. I think of Alvin Lombard's log hauler, whose Caterpillar tread revolutionized land vehicles everywhere, and of Martin Keyes, who was his neighbor up on College Avenue, who developed the molded paper plate. It's remarkable that these 2 very prominent Maine inventors work side by side up on College Avenue. There's a chapter in the book that speaks directly to things of the home. It's called Life's Simple Pleasures, and I'm going to read to you a bit from it. In the mid-1880s, as the world moved out of the first industrial revolution and into the second, most of the thousands of new patented inventions were mechanical devices and methods that improved the speed and efficiency of the country's industries. Along the edges were a handful of new discoveries and creation that did little to directly advance the factories, but instead added to the personal pleasures of hearth and home. Migration off the farms to the city factories opened a new world for those accustomed to working from sunrise to sunset. Shift work at the mills allowed for leisure time at home. And before the days of the phonograph, Americans became fascinated by parlor games. Milton Bradley, who was born in the Kennebec County town of Vienna in 1836, moved with his family to Lowell, Massachusetts when he was 11. He later attended Harvard's Lawrence Scientific School and learned lithography and set up a shop there in Springfield. The following year, he entered the board game industry with the creation of the popular checkered game of life, later known simply as the Game of Life. The parlor game sold more than 45,000 copies in the first year, and the Milton Bradley Company never looked back. In that same era, the Game of Life most certainly included delights of other kinds. The deep-fried pastry donut had been around for ages, having originated in the Middle East and eventually rolled through Europe before being brought to America by the Dutch. As to the matter of the donut's whole, it seems to have been the creation of a Maine man, Hanson Crockett Gregory, the captain of a lime ship that sailed out of his home port in Clam Cove, now the Glen Cove section of Rockport. Gregory was indeed a Dutchman, lending to the credence to the story that he was eating a donut on June 22, 1847, when his ship was struck by a violent storm. In order to free both hands to manage the ship's wheel, he is said to have jammed the donut over one of the wheel's spokes. When the calm seas returned, he reclaimed his impaled donut and discovered he had accidentally solved the long-held frustration of eating cakes with uncooked centers. That's the story of the donut hole. About the time that Gregory first pierced the donut, a second oral treat was coming out of the Maine woods. Lumberjacks had forever been scraping spruce gum off the trees for long chews. But whenever they sat quietly for a time and their mouth got dry, they risked having their teeth pulled from their sockets when they opened their jaws. Despite the rigors of chewing, woodsman John Curtis of Bradford was addicted, and sometime around 1850, he struck upon an idea to make his habit more pleasant. He filled an iron kettle with a mix of spruce gum, maple syrup, and a bit of sugar, brought it all to a boil on the kitchen stove, and the finished mixture was poured into a large sheet of tin and sprinkled with cornstarch. When it cooled and hardened, he sliced it into tiny squares. His creation of the first flavored chewing gum was a success. In his Portland factory, Curtis and Son began churning out the trademarked state of Maine pure spruce gum, a product that would be forever stuck to the roofs of mouths and the bottoms of theater seats. His son, John Bacon Curtis of Hamden, succeeded his father in the business and sold enough gum to build a dozen ships and buy the Forest City Steamboat Line in Portland. So that's it from my book, and thank you for joining in tonight, and thank you for including me.
I love all the genius that Earl talks about and writes about in his book. Now, I don't know if this particular genius is in that book. I haven't read it yet, but I intend to. But about 1 mile from where I'm sitting in West Gardner, Maine, is the birthplace of a fellow named John Stevens. John Stevens was sent to Panama by President Theodore Roosevelt to salvage the Panama Canal. And he's the one that designed the lock system and built the Panama Canal. He was a self-taught engineer who went to Farmington Normal School to become a 5th grade teacher, got bored with that, taught himself engineering, became the best railroad engineer in the country, and the rest is history, as they say. Maine was littered with geniuses, and I look forward to reading Earl's book. Thank you, Earl, for joining us tonight. Now, before we announce the next raffle winner, here is our own story about the Christmas program at the Maine Children's Home.
In an average year, the Christmas program at Maine Children's Home distributes boxes of gifts and clothing to more than 1,500 children whose families are facing financial hardship during the holiday season. The program is the only one of its kind that provides brand new toys, books, games, warm clothing, and winter essentials to boys and girls throughout the state of Maine. It's an effort that would be impossible without generous donations, volunteer hours, and community support. At Maine Children's Home, we see this special program as a way to bring a little relief to families during a stressful time, and as a way to provide families with tools for play, connection, and comfort.
Hi, I understand we're more than halfway to meeting that $1,000 matching challenge. So let's keep it rolling. Thank you. You know, the work of the Maine Children's Home is made possible only through the generous donations of people just like you. Please consider making a donation and helping us reach that challenge grant match of that $1,000 by clicking the link in the description of this video. I've got my hat on again, reminding us all that there's an opportunity to win some Red Sox tickets coming right up. Now it's time to announce the next raffle winner. The grilling package, which is our next raffle item, includes a $200 Dyna-Glo 2-burner grill donated by Home Depot in Waterville, a $100 Hannaford gift certificate donated by Hannaford at Elm Plaza, a copy of The Guy on Fire, Grilling, Tailgating, Camping, and More cookbook by Guy Fieri with Ann Volkwine, donated by Barnes & Noble. Also a $65 handcrafted cutting board donated by Gatherings, Games, and Gifts, a $52 Alpha Grillers heavy-duty barbecue grilling tool set donated by Elizabeth Barron herself, and a $50 Damon's Beverage gift certificate donated by Damon's Beverage in Waterville. And our crack staff is out there looking for an appropriate way to draw the next winner.
Someone's going to win this beautiful package. A grill, a book. This is beautiful. So I think we have our winners inside this paper bag. And coming out. LASF.
LASF. That's actually Linda Schumacher Firo. Congratulations to Linda, and thank you for participating in the raffle. We will be in touch about how you can collect your prize. Thank you. Our next author is Lynn Plourde. Lynn is the author of 40 kids' books, including Moose, of course, Maxie's Secrets, Happy Birthday, A Happy Birthday Maine, which now it's our 201st birthday. Had to skip it, the 200th last year because of COVID. And her newest book, How to Talk Monster. She does numerous author visits to schools, teaching students how to write their own stories. Lynn grew up in Skowhegan and currently lives in Winthrop with her husband. Here is Lynn Plourde reading her book, At One, in a place called Maine.
My name is Lynn Plourde, and I write kids' books. Best job in the world. I live in Winthrop, Maine. I grew up in Skowhegan, Maine, and I was born in Dexter, so I'm a Mainer. And I don't all my books, but I packed a few. I've had 40 books this year that will be published. And what I'd like to do is share one with you today, a part of it, at One in a Place Called Maine, because we're talking about there's no place like home. Well, to me, there's no place like home, Maine. I'm a Mainer born and bred, and this is my love poem to the state of Maine. I'm the author. Leslie Mansman, who lives in North Yarmouth, is the illustrator. I'll share several pages from this and sort of tell you the stories behind the story. I like how Leslie had it open and it looks like all the seasons transitioning. I live in a place where I sit still, so still, upon a stone wall in my backyard. I am at one with twin fawns, stopping for an early morning snack offered by outstretched apple tree arms. This story was inspired where we lived in Madison, Maine. We had twin fawns visit one summer every day. And I'm like, yo, where's your mama? But if I looked by the edge of the woods, I could see the doe was in there. And if we were too loud or anything, she would give them a signal to run away. So even though this is a fictional poem, it's based on something that really happened to me. I live in a place where I stand tall, so tall, as I balance on boulders. I'm at one with a mighty mountain, reaching and arching to touch the clouds just a pinch away. I've climbed Katahdin one time, so I had to make sure I had a Katahdin scene in there. I live in a place where I bound boldly, so boldly, along the craggy shore. I am at one with the crashing, dashing waves as they bellow and boast of their power and beauty. I live in a place where I awaken sparked, so sparked as the first light ignites. I'm at one with the radiant dawn, a pink-orange fire that flickers and flashes, flaring up a new day. It's wonderful that the sun comes up in the United States, first in Maine, West Quoddy Headlight. I live in a place where I peek curiously, so curiously, out at a darkness lit by fireflies. I'm at one with a snooping black bear who sniffs and snorts the tent, snuffling for treats, before moseying along with a goodbye garumph. I was camping with a friend in Baxter State Park, and they warned us bears have been around. Don't leave any food out. So for once in my life, I did not have an evening midnight snack. I was in the two-person dome tent. My friend was on the other side, and I heard a sound, and I was like, is it my friend getting up and she's going out to use the outhouse? But she wasn't. There was enough light shining in. I saw she was in her sleeping bag, and I realized it was a bear. Its snout was pressed up right against the side of the tent. I froze. And in the morning, we heard that the bear had raided other campsites. But thank goodness we didn't have any food in ours. I live in a place where I rest gratefully, so gratefully, upon a rock blanket. After a hot, humid hike, I'm at one with a rumbling, tumbling waterfall that changes sweat to chills with its shower of splatters and sprinkles. I live in a place where I breathe deeply, so deeply, a forest potpourri. I'm at one with spiky pines that circle and scent the air with their evergreen, everlasting Christmas tree smell. And this one reminds me of the time we had a microburst at our house here where we live in Winthrop. And I saw the radar, and it was this big red dot coming right towards where we were. So I took the dog, we went down cellar, and we got under the cellar stairs, and it literally sounded like a train going over our house. When it was done, and I went upstairs, trees were toppled. Every plant we had, our yard was filled. You couldn't see the grass. It was covered with debris and leaves. But it was amazing when I opened the door. It was the most amazing Christmas tree smell. It smelled like 1,000 Christmas trees. You know how they smell when you bring them in? live in a place where I ride slowly, slowly along a winding, twining dirt road. I'm at one with a carefree, meandering moose whose only concern is a munchy, marshy lunch. The rest of the book has some other scenes, and it ends in Aroostook County, which I love because that's my heart home. My family, my dad was from North Caribou, my Pepe was from Frenchville, and so I love that I also included Aroostook County in there. So that's some of my love poem to the state of Maine, and I wanted to share some of it with you because I think it really celebrates how special our state is.
Thank you, Lynn, for that wonderful book and that wonderful telling of your book. It reminds me, and I'll have a little bit of editorial pleasure with this. It's used a number of different ways, but there's a saying I like to throw around. It is, goes something like this. If you're lucky enough to be born in Maine, you're lucky enough. It's that simple. And I feel just that way. The more I travel, the more I realize how wonderful and special Maine is. And part of the reason it's so wonderful is the services of places like the Maine Children's Home. Now, before we announce the next raffle winner, here is our own story about the Teen Parent Education Program at the Maine Children's Home.
Teenage years are often spent engaging in self-exploration and learning how to navigate the world and people around them. But when a teenager becomes a parent, the course of those explorative years becomes more complicated. According to national statistics, pregnant teens are at a higher risk of health problems due to the lack of or delay of prenatal care. Additionally, only half of teen moms receive a high school diploma by age 22. At Maine Children's Home, the graduation rate of students who join the Teen Parent Program is 83%. That's more than 30% higher than the national average. For nearly 50 years, the teen program at MCH has provided a safe place for young parents to learn prenatal care, parenting skills, gain access to childcare, and receive other support without judgment. I know personally how impactful and how much of an influence our program can have on a teen parent and other children's lives. My mom attended this very program when she had me. I now have the unique experience to come back to the Teen Parent Program as the new program director, where I plan to continue offering each teen parent and their family the same support, encouragement, and opportunity that was given to my mom, and that ultimately in turn was given to me.
Thank you for watching, and remember, the work of the Maine Children's Home is made possible only through the generous donations from kind people like you. Please consider making a donation by clicking the link in the description of this video. And now it's time to announce who the next raffle winner is. And the next raffle is the tailgating package, which includes a $200 Yeti cooler donated by Kennebec Savings Bank and a $50 Damon's Beverage gift card donated by Damon's Beverage in Waterville, Maine. And the winner is, according to our crack staff,
Let's pull the winning raffle. Well, that's not it. I feel it. Just one though, sadly. All right, one ticket. Melissa Bonnell.
congratulations, Melissa. Thank you for participating in our raffle, and we will be in touch to let you know how you can collect your prize. Now, our next author is Juliese Padgett. In July 2008, Juliese was adopted from Guangzhou, China, through the Maine Children's Home. As a homeschooling project, she was inspired at the age of 7 to write a personal narrative to process her own feelings of being Asian while living in Maine. Now, Juliese is 16 and continues to be an advocate for children getting forever homes by donating all book profits from her book to the Maine Children's Home. In her spare time, Juliese Padgett has continued to write her personal narrative on her blog, Seated in a Distant Land. Here is Juliese Padgett reading her book, The Newest Flower.
This is my book called The Newest Flower, and I'm going to read some to you today. Once upon a time, deep in the forest, there was a beautiful exotic flower garden. Inside this oasis of fragrant flowers, there lived two flowers named Rosie and Daisy. They were friends who loved playing together. Each day, they would play their favorite game of Tag the Flower. On hazy days, these two blossoms would put on plays with their fair weather friends, the sun, clouds, and rain. Each one helped the flowers continue to grow tall, healthy, and keep their dazzling colors. One day, while they were getting ready to perform in a play with their fair weather friends, Rosie noticed a lime-colored sprout peeking out from the ground. For some reason, only one leaf, shaped like a half of a heart, was showing. Rosie whispered to Daisy, "We cannot have this flower be in our private garden. She does not look like us. Someone must uproot her and plant this flower back into her own soil. You know, dirt made for only flowers like her." Deep down, Rosie was uncomfortable around all flowers who looked different from her. Even though Daisy didn't look like her either, Rosie and Daisy had grown up together, but having a new flower invade their garden was terrifying. What if this new flower wanted to change her game rules? And what would she smell like? Would she be sweet or bitter, down to the roots? Unlike Rosie, Daisy was a peacemaker who kindly suggested, "Maybe once she comes up, she will at least act like us. I think we should wait until she blossoms. Then we'll be able to see what color she will be." But sadly, Rosie thought that all new flowers should look exactly like her, be the same color, and also have two leaves shaped like a heart. A couple of days later, the new caliandra flower erupted out of the soil, stretching out her newly grown stem and a single leaf. She was, indeed, a lovely, powder-puff pink flower with the nickname of Callie. "Daisy, that does not count. You tagged my leaf, not my petal." Callie heard much merriment at the other end of the garden. As her heart began to soar with excitement, Callie couldn't wait to introduce herself and join the fun. "Hi, my name is Callie. This is my first day enjoying our beautiful garden. Will you teach me the game? It sounds like so much fun." Giggling, Daisy squealed with delight. "Sure, you can play with us. Trying to tag one of your petals, Callie, will be just like trying to grab a fairy's wing. Come on, let me introduce you to—" "No, Daisy, Callie cannot play with us," Rosie sternly interrupted. "She does not belong here. She must be from another garden. Besides, she looks funny with only one leaf. It doesn't even look like a heart." And that's where I'm going to leave off, and you will have to read the end of it yourself.
Thank you, Juliese. What a wonderful story from beginning to end. And thank you for sharing your book with us. In preparation for this event, we spoke with Juliese about why she supports the Maine Children's Home. And she said, "Maine Children's Home has been very, very personal to me because the Maine Children's Home helped bring me home. They were the organization that handled my adoption. And the Maine Children's Home was one of the first to make a huge donation towards my book. So we've always been very connected, and the Maine Children's Home have been cheerleaders throughout the whole book process. Giving back to them is like giving back to family." Thank you, Juliese. Nice to have you in the family. Before we announce the next raffle winner, here is our own story about the family adoption program at the Maine Children's Home.
Adoption is beautiful and rewarding, but it can also be extremely challenging. It involves a lot of anticipation and requires huge life adjustments for both parents and kids. Children sometimes wait and wait and wait for their forever family to come. And when their adoptive family does finally arrive, some children need help learning how to trust and connect with others for the first time in their lives. At Maine Children's Home, we see children who come from very difficult, sometimes unspeakable backgrounds. It's our responsibility to make sure that each unique child is placed in a home where their unique needs are met, and it's our responsibility to make sure that each adoptive family gets the professional support, skills, and knowledge they need throughout their child's life. Adoption is a lifelong commitment, and the Family Adoption Program at Maine Children's Home is here for all of it.
Being involved in tonight's program is just a wonderful feeling. And I hope we're closing in on matching that $1,000 challenge that we received earlier in the program. And you can donate using the link in the video description. And don't forget, to repeat myself one more time, the work of the Maine Children's Home, which has been described so wonderfully tonight by so many people in so many ways, is only possible by generous donations from kind people, just like you. So thank you for watching, and thank you for donating. And now it's time to announce who won the 50-50 raffle. There were 9 tickets sold in the 50-50 raffle. They were $100 a piece, which means the winner will take home $450. And our staff is at it again. Let's see who won.
So we have inside here the 50-50 cash entries. Let's see who takes home the money. John Dalton.
Congratulations, John. Good work. Thank you for participating in the raffle, and we will be in touch to let you know how you can collect your prize. Last year, the Maine Children's Home witnessed a family finalizing their adoption of a little boy from South Korea during the pandemic. This is the story of that family's full circle journey with adoption.
Kate Russell spent most of her youth forgetting she was adopted. Her family had been so supportive that she never questioned the strong sense of belonging she felt at home. She always felt safe, loved, valued. She had the security of home. In 2005, Kate was a sophomore at Colby College when she was awarded a grant to travel anywhere in the world for an educational experience. With that grant, she decided to work at an orphanage in her birth country, where she had been adopted at only 4 months old. She decided to travel to South Korea. One day, during her work study at an orphanage in Seoul, the orphanage director asked her a question that took her by surprise. They asked her if she wanted to find her birth mother. It was a thought that hadn't crossed her mind. But as she learned more about the cultural values behind the South Korean adoption system, she became more curious. Single unwedded mothers in Korea were harshly stigmatized, often socially isolated, rejected by their families, and didn't receive assistance from the government. Many of these mothers had no choice but to relinquish their children, and they often did so anonymously. According to Korean law, birth parents need to sign away their child in order for an adoption to occur. Many of the children Kate was working with at the orphanage were given up anonymously, meaning that they were trapped in the system, unable to be adopted. Kate realized these orphan children may never know what having a family is like. The strong feeling of belonging that she had, quote, taken for granted in her childhood. They may never feel the safety of a parent's embrace, that they are loved, valued, secure at home. So Kate decided to search for her mother, not to ask her why she had been given up, but to thank her for her bravery, for approving Kate's adoption. Using only her birth name and her birth date, Kate was able to track down which orphanage she had been adopted from, where exactly she had been born, that her mother had requested for Kate to be adopted by a good American family, and that her mother was very young when Kate was born. In fact, she had been only 15 years old. Learning the age of her mother is what ended Kate's search. She realized that her mother in 2005 was 35 years old. Kate thought she had probably started over, was possibly married and had other children. Kate decided, by not finding her, she would be protecting the life that her mother had built for herself. It would be an act of love. In 2020, 15 years after coming home from South Korea, Kate Russell fulfilled a promise she had made at the orphanage in Seoul. Inspired by her birth mother's bravery and the support of her adoptive family, she and her husband Justin welcomed home 2-year-old Harry, their son, adopted from the orphanage that Kate had been adopted from 35 years ago.
Oh, we watched that video a couple of times as we were preparing for this evening's program. And every time it tugs at your heart and reminds you just how fortunate we are and how difficult it can be for others in other parts of the world. So once again, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. That is a powerful, powerful video. And now it's time to announce the winner of our door prize. This is that $120 car care basket that I described earlier. And our staff, once again, looked for a creative way to decide the winner.
Now for the door prize. Thank you for everybody who participated. This is a car care kit. Inside, we have one name, Doreen Parent. Congratulations, Doreen.
Congratulations, Doreen. Your car's going to be spackling all summer long, both days. Last summer, of course, summer fell on a Tuesday, but we don't know for sure when it'll fall this year. And now, congratulations, Doreen. I really do appreciate you joining us. We will be in touch to let you know how you can collect your prize. And one last appeal, don't forget, make a donation if you can. We're still trying to match that $1,000 challenge that was made earlier in the program by an anonymous donor. So donate using the link in the video description. Thank you. Now, at this point in the program, if you participated in the auctions for the children's home in the past, you know that when I'm the auctioneer, normally at this stage of the program, I ask everybody to participate in a paddle raise. And that's where they raise their auction paddle that has a number on it that's attached to them. And I asked them if they would like to make a donation or multiple donations. And tonight we're suggesting $20 increments. So in the past, again, if it was live, you'd be raising your paddle and saying, oh, I want to give one $20 donation, or 3 or 5, or whatever number of $20 donations you might feel comfortable with. And I just see a note from Elizabeth Barron that you probably see too. It says, we now have a donation of $450 right back to us for that matching grant. We have matched our challenge. Now let's do more. And this is our chance with our faux paddle raise. We don't have paddles to raise. We're not in the same room. I can't walk around and cajole you and encourage you and support you. But after everything we've seen tonight, I'm hoping you will participate in a different kind of paddle raise. Even though we're not physically together for the event, I would like to ask you if you will donate this evening, right now, to help the Maine Children's Home. Instead of having you raise your hands or your paddles to announce that you'd like to donate, please write a comment in the comments section under this video on either Facebook or YouTube. Let us know that you want to support the Maine Children's Home, and then click the link in the video description to make a donation today. Every donation helps. We're suggesting, once again, $20 increments, but any donation helps. And as you just heard, I see Daniel Santos just sent me $25. Thanks for the donation, Daniel. You know that we need the money, and you know now, having watched all these videos, that we're using it wisely and effectively to help the people who need it the most. So I hope this will bring us to a positive conclusion, and I'm going to turn, once again, I'll put my hat on to remind you that our executive director is likely to mention the Red Sox opportunity once again. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Want to thank everybody for participating in our event and for participating tonight and for your donations. And with that, I will now hand it back to the Executive Director of the Maine Children's Home, Rick Dorian.
Thank you so much, Gary. And thank you to all the authors who donated their time and their creativity to make this event so special. We'd also like to thank our gold sponsor, Emerson Toyota, and our other supportive sponsors, Northeast Laboratories, Sappy Paper, Century 21, Nason Realty, Global Family Restaurants, Golden Pond Wealth Management, Bangor Savings Bank, as well as our other very supportive sponsors and partners who made this event possible. Once again, we are thrilled to share the late-breaking donation of 2 tickets for a Red Sox home game against the New York Yankees. Sorry, no, I've got to correct that. It's not the Yankees, just seeing if you're still with us. That's a Red Sox home game versus the Minnesota Twins on August 24th at 7:10 p.m. These are 2 very good seats. The raffle will be on Gala Bid until June 28th at 8 a.m. Bid high and bid often. If you missed this online gathering tonight, you can learn more about the life-changing work that the Maine Children's Home does each and every day of the year. And you can donate anytime on our website at mainechildrenshome.org. We can't thank you enough for your partnership, encouragement, and support. We are successful because of caring people just like you. Just like most every town across the state of Maine, you see a jug on the counter to say, help out this family, help out this child. You know, this is a very generous and very close-knit state, lots of close-knit families. And we can do our work because people step up and help us to be here, to keep our doors open, to make sure we can keep providing help and support, even during the pandemic. We served more people than ever before during the pandemic, and we had services that we shifted to be virtual, to be accessible, to reach out to families. Every week of the year, we kept providing supports because so many people stepped up to help us to be there for families and children in need. Here at the Maine Children's Home for Little Wanderers, we've been helping Maine children and families since 1899, and we will be able to keep helping Maine children to build stronger, to build and strengthen their homes, to make them safer, happier, and healthier because of your support. We have 3 particular extraordinary Maine Children's Home staff to thank for this highly successful event. This has not just been about tonight. It's been many weeks, I should say many months, building up for There's No Place Like Home. We particularly want to thank Elizabeth Barron, our Director of Development, Chelsea Ellis, our Marketing Coordinator, and Karen Ross, our Development and Administrative Assistant. Since we couldn't be in person, they have worked tirelessly for months to create this successful, very vivid and powerful event so you can learn more about our work. Thank you again for tuning in, and we wish you all a great evening. And as always, I like to tell people everywhere I go, please reach out to us if we can ever be a support for you, for your family, or someone you care about. Thank you for supporting the Maine Children's Home for Little Wanderers. And once again, anytime you could learn more about our work by visiting our website, mainechildren'shome.org. And please, if you've been moved at all tonight, if you have been inspired by the stories we've shared about the powerful work that we do, we thank you for your consideration of any gifts that you could make to help support our work. Thank you, and we wish you all the best. Keep in touch.